to order. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Justin Shu.
Present.
John Jezzy.
Here.
Byron Shabazz. Dave Dorset.
Present.
Ashley Katz. Here. Don Wynn.
Here.
Dennis Moon.
Here.
6 present.
We have a quorum. Thank you. I would like to call a public hearing to consider an ordinance adopting the City of Macomb's annual fiscal year budget beginning May 1st, 2025 and ending April 30th, 2026. I'm going to turn the meeting over to City Administrator with an overview of the budget and talk how we've gotten so far along in this process already.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll go through this pretty quickly. We've discussed it several times, even in one of our other council meetings, or committee of the whole meeting, excuse me. So just kind of summarizing some things, there are a lot of things going on in the city. TJ Maxx just opened this weekend. We have Hobby Lobby, Chipotle, Beefaroo coming. So we have a lot of momentum that's happening, and so there are several things in the budget that we've programmed to keep that going. I would be remiss if I didn't say a huge thank you to Melissa Worley, who's here in the audience, for putting a lot of the work behind the scenes and into this budget to get it going. This year we have rolled out our mission, vision, and core values for our city employees, and you'll see them posted around the building. Just really highlights the way we look at things and how we want to all move forward together. We are still working on the indoor sports facility, which we have some things programmed in the budget for that. That's a huge initiative we're working on, and we want to keep things moving with that. Our general fund is projected to have an estimated cash balance of around $5,040,000 at the end of the 25-26 fiscal year. So we believe that's right in target with where we want to be at $5 million. We do have, we are deficit spending of a little over 1.5 million to get us to that $5 million target. Just overall, if we look at our overall total budget, all funds budget, we're at about $54 million in spending, $58 million in spending. And that's in large part, there's our water plant project is programmed to start in this coming fiscal year. So that's a major part of that budget. That's about all I was going to summarize for today.
Okay, very good. Does anyone from the audience here gathered this evening have any questions or comments regarding this city's proposed FY 25-26 fiscal year budget? Any aldermen have any comments? Well, it's an item for discussion later in the meeting, but obviously we have an open. Alderman Vajezzi.
Not a question, but just a comment. Again, thank you to Director Worley and all the department heads. It takes a long time to put together a budget. And there's a lot of things that we have to look at as we're doing that, but thank you to everybody who took the time and all the other aldermen that took the time for the meetings to put all this together.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? We'll then conclude the public hearing. Citizens wishing to address the Committee of the Whole on matters germane to the agenda of tonight's meeting will be limited to 3 minutes and are asked to be brief and concise in making their remarks. Comments submitted by mail or email will not be read aloud, but a copy will be provided to each member of the council and made a part of the minutes of this meeting. Does anyone wish to speak to the council under the public comment section of our agenda tonight? Already hearing none, we'll move on to item number 1, discussion on an ordinance to approve a lease agreement between the City of Macomb and the McDonough County Humane Society. This was discussed last week. It's been discussed at some other opportunities as well. This is an agreement between the city and the Humane Society for a long-term lease, a 99-year lease for some property just east of the existing animal shelter on Tower Road. This had first reading last week. Ms. Bonnie Smith Scripps, the president of the Humane Society, made a presentation last week. She's here if there are any other questions or comments by the alderman. Any discussion at all on the proposed lease agreement between the city? The city attorney does have a copy that she's provided you that's updated a little bit. Anything in particular you want to point out there, Lisa?
No, extremely minor modification in paragraph 6, but nothing of substance was modified.
Okay, very good. Any discussion on the proposed lease with the Humane Society? Hearing none, we'll put that on for second reading and final action at next week's City Council meeting. Item number 2, discussion of an ordinance to create a Class P plus OPC liquor license for DeSandy Corporation doing business as Smoke Galaxy at 901 West Jackson Street here in the city. This ordinance also had first reading at last week's council meeting. I would note that the petitioners are present, and if you had any conversations, update at all, Ms. Scalf?
I was provided with a resident manager application, so we'll conduct the background check on that person before next week's meeting. If that's not completed, I may ask you to delay second reading to make sure that we have an appropriate resident manager, but I don't anticipate that will be an issue. And we were provided a floor plan for the gaming room, which is not necessarily imperative to have for purposes of the issuance of the liquor license, but it's certainly important for the applicant to know that the room will work for gaming on the backside when we look at the video gaming license.
Very good. Any questions or comments regarding, or any discussion at all regarding the issuance of that license? Alderman Dorsett.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we did have, I had some folks reach out to me about this, and they had specific questions on the manager's position. So since we have that information now, appreciate them getting back to us.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? Alrighty, we'll tentatively schedule that for second reading next week. And again, as the city attorney mentioned, if there's any issues outstanding, we'll deal with them and let you know prior to taking that up. Item number 3, discussion on an ordinance implementing a municipal grocery retailer's occupation tax and municipal grocer service occupation tax for the city of Macomb. This ordinance had first reading at last week's council meeting. We would remind folks that the General Assembly is getting out of the grocery tax business effective January 1st, 2026. It's our intention to continue that tax here in the city of Macomb. We're not unique in that. And a significant number, I would say the overwhelming majority of municipalities in the state are continuing that as well. This is an ordinance to set in motion that for collection starting January 1st of 2026. Any discussion, any comments, concerns from the council regarding that proposed ordinance? Mr. Coker, anything to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, Ms. Scalf?
Nothing.
Alrighty. We'll place that on for second reading at next week's council meeting. Item number 4, discussion of an ordinance to adopt the City of Macomb's annual budget for fiscal year commencing May 1st, 2025 and ending April 30th, 2026. Again, first reading was last week. This concluded a public hearing. Any comments, any discussion at all on the proposed budget? Alderman Dorsett.
Yeah, I do want to thank city staff, city administrator for getting this done well. I do have concerns going forward. There's going to be a lot of changes, I believe, coming from the state and federal levels. And so I'm really hoping that we can avoid any sort of deficit spending next year.
Very good. It's our desire as well, for sure. Thank you. Anyone else? Alrighty, we'll place that on for second reading and final action then next Monday as well. Item number 5, discussion on an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain personal property. That includes equipment and vehicles owned by the city of Macomb. This ordinance had first reading last week. I believe there were some additional items that we have added. We'll get you a complete list prior to next week's council meeting. Lisa, do you have any of that at all?
I don't. I
Okay.
apologize.
There's some minor additions to that, but we'll make sure that's in your hands well before next week's meeting. We'll place that on for second reading as well for next Monday. Item number 6, discussion on an ordinance annexing territory located at 3519, 4001, and 4007 West Jackson Street in Macomb, also referred to as the Purdy parcels. This ordinance had first reading last week. It's a series of businesses that are located on the West Jackson corridor just outside the city limits. Any discussion on those proposed annexations? If you remember, this is our long-range plan to ultimately garner city limit coincide with pre-annexation agreements we have with a number of parcels and properties along that corridor leading out to the interchange of 136 and 336, so that ultimately we can control and possibly incentivize development of that. So this would be a step in the right direction. Alderman Dorsett.
Yeah, I understand. I'm a little surprised that there's no one here tonight, but I understand there are some concerns from folks who have believe that our extraterritorial that goes with the annexation is problematic. I would just point out to anybody who has the problem that that is not something that the city of Macomb came up with. It's been state statute since 1961, and that it could be preempted at any time should the city of Colchester decide to take the same steps we did in 1998.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? We'll place that on for second reading and final action at next Monday's council meeting. Item number 7, discussion on a user agreement between the City of Macomb and the Macomb Community Unit School District Number 185. There's a memorandum from the Transit Director in your packet, along with the proposed agreement. Ms. Petrino, could you come up and go over the premise of what we're hoping to accomplish here, please?
Can everyone hear me? No? How about that? Okay. City Macomb Public Transportation staff requests approval to execute this agreement for Macomb Unit School District 185 to use the west parking lot of the transit facility for CDL training and testing purposes. The MUSD does not presently have such facilities to use within Macomb, thus is the main reason for consideration of this agreement. This is simply a written use agreement where no money will be exchanged. MUSD will receive this same agreement along with a map and traffic flow diagram of the facility.
Thank you. Ms. Scalfa, is there any provisions of the agreement you want to make sure we're aware of?
We do still retain, if we need to use the facility, we take priority. The transit director has the ability to reschedule that time if it's an opportunity that we need to take part in using those training facilities. So we still do retain ultimate control over the premises.
Is this an existing agreement we have with the current?
We did with Durham previously,
Previously, yes.
All righty.
so it's virtually identical with change of name.
Okay. Any questions for staff regarding the proposed use agreement? All righty, hearing none, we'll place that on for consideration, discussion, and action at next week's council meeting. Thank you, Colin Bree, appreciate it. I don't believe there's any other business to come before you this evening. I would like to call an executive session to consider information relative to the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of an employee of the public body or legal counsel for the public body pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act, and for collective bargaining matters between the public body and its employees or representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees pursuant to Section 2C2 of the Open Meetings Act.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to go into executive session. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Shu. Aye. Jesse.
Aye.
Dorset.
Aye.
Katz. Aye. Wynn.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. There'll be no action coming out of our executive session this evening.